Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Formula, and we're live ahead of the final sprint weekend of the year in Qatar. And this is going to be a wild one because out of nowhere, Oscar Piastri is back in the fold to win a Grand Prix. Zach and Terry, how are you feeling? And is this turnaround from Piastri the real deal?
Oh, I'm hoping it is. Yeah, I really don't know. It's put us in a bit of a pickle with who we go for. It's one of those ones again where sprint quali's a nice enough thing to know where everyone is, but knowing our luck, Verstappen will just come out in the actual qualifying all of a sudden and found that pace, and then we've all taken out Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a strange one. I mean, yeah, with Oscar, it's a track he did well at last year. We've got out of that level of tracks that he struggled on last year as well. So you kind of hope that with that form last year he showed on these last couple of tracks, he's taken that into this year. It kind of fits with it as well. The same tracks he struggled at last year, he struggled at this year. So you kind of hope it's going to follow that pattern. And provided he keeps it clean and does a good job, then for me, it's keeping an eye on Lando and what he's going to do from where he is, because he doesn't need to win the sprint race. But he's going to want to win the sprint race. And I think that's a different dynamic for him to play that role into. As in, does he attack? Does he keep it completely, safe and go with that? Or does he actually just try and close this off and box it off before we get to Abu Dhabi? So that's going to be playing on his mind as well, I think.
I totally agree with the point that you made earlier, Terry, is that in 3 races in his last 3 years, Oscar Piastri has really struggled at the likes of Coda, Mexico, Brazil, Baku, Singapore. But now we're getting to a circuit where he has been historically quite good. He's never finished a competitive session behind Lando Norris. This could be his 3rd straight sprint win at Qatar. So this is somewhere where Oscar finally feels at home. So I think it's not a fluke. He could really take it, at least in the sprint, if not a podium in the Grand Prix as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's bring up some of the times from sprint qualifying, set the table for the sprint race today. So you can see Piastri in P1. Lando had a bit of a struggle in his last flying lap, had him just a bit off of his teammate, and that allowed George Russell to squeak in just between them. So he's going to look to play the spoiler today. The big story here are the Red Bull drivers. Yuki Tsunoda all the way up in P5. That was a stunner. But Max Verstappen right behind him, an even bigger stunner. Terry, there's been some rumors about Max getting some floor damage, potentially that setting him back, and that he's a shoo-in to get things right for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Is it that certain? And what is Max's upside today?
I'm not sure it's a shoe in here, get it right. He definitely got some floor damage. They went the wrong way with the setup. If you listen to both Helmut Marko and Max afterwards, they openly admitted they went the wrong way. So they will use this very much as a testing bed to get the setup ready for qualifying and the race tomorrow. Can they get enough? I don't know, to be honest. I'd say that they probably still feel higher than the other ones, so that would put them into podium contentions. But will it be enough in the sprint? Will it be enough? The car's terrible on the top tires, so yeah, that's going to be an issue for them going forward. That's for sure.
And this is going to be a great start for Max with a teammate ahead that's probably going to get team orders to let him pass. A slower Aston Martin ahead and Fernando Alonso. Like you said, he should be on Lando Norris's heels in no time. And it's just a matter of, is the car in a window where it can compete in the sprint, or is it just getting enough data so that they can fix it in par firme in time for tomorrow? Zach, you've been running some pretty differential plays these last few weeks because it's been all or nothing scenario for you.
Yeah.
How do the Red Bulls look for you? Either Verstappen as an alternative to one of the McLarens, or Yuki as a dark horse B-tier driver?
Funnily enough, I think it's more of a Yuki situation for the differential. I don't think we've seen enough from Verstappen for now for me to want to pull over one of the McLarens. And it is one of those situations where I think coming into this weekend, I really don't know what the set 2 premium drivers are, because I would go Piastri Norris, but there's such a stigma behind triple McLaren because it never works. Somehow every time we use triple McLaren, it always ends up in misery. And then it's, where do you go from there? Do you keep Verstappen, go with Piastri? But Norris, if he didn't have that bad lap, could have been on pole. Verstappen, if he didn't have damage, what could he have done? So there's still a lot up in the air. But definitely, it looks like Tsunoda is definitely that guy to look out for. We've never seen him this quick, realistically, anywhere this season. That's sad to say for Tsunoda. Yeah, sad to say for Tsunoda. But I do think, even if because he will give the position to Verstappen, there's no doubt in my mind that he does that. But it's one of those things where I'm thinking ahead of potential driver of the day here. If Piastri comes, I think if Piastri wins, but it could be a little bit difficult. But Tsunoda, if he was able to get into the top 5, I do think I don't think people would look away from that, because that would be a really, really good result from him. So there's the potential for driver of the day there.
It's an interesting point, Zach, because there have been these rumors that Red Bull will announce their driver lineup for next year. There are some doubts that Yuki will be in it. And if anything leaks tomorrow morning, that Yuki could be on the way out and he posts a great result in his final race as part of the Red Bull team, it could be a sentimental driver of the day for him as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Got a lot of our friends loaded up in the chat. Good morning, Race Maven, Mike. We've got Rebecca. Hi, everybody. Welcome aboard. Vishnu's here. All right, we've got a lot of folks loaded up in the chat. Now, just to give you some context too, Zach and Terry have used their extra DRS boost, and I still have mine locked and loaded for today. So get ready for my team, because I'm going to be putting a lot on the line with this one, but hopefully it goes well, making that push for the top 1K. But
well, it can't be worse than mine.
Yeah.
This group has had some pretty tough luck on sprint weekend, so I'm just trying to survive.
We had some tough luck last week. Who else? Yeah. Triple McLaren here. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
I still think that's the rule of thumb for everyone out there. Whatever my team is, there will be a DNF involved.
Yeah, do the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, lap one, 2 of them will be out.
Whatever I posted, go the opposite.
Now, Terry, with you out last week, Zach and I were still able to get 120 likes. Let's see if we can beat it with you here. So in light of Terry being back, make sure you hit that like button. Let's see if we can beat that record. I think he's our good luck charm.
That's impressive for that time of the day. Can I just say that as well? Kudos to everyone tuning in at that time in the morning.
All right. Let's fire off some questions in the chat, because I'm sure everybody's fired up. Mike wants to know, are we going Piastri Verstappen?
Maybe.
Oh.
I'm currently leaning Norris Piastri.
I can say I've not got Verstappen.
But I have 50 minutes to be talked out of it. Maybe a poll will talk me out of it.
I'm leaning to Mike's, which gives you an idea where my team's gone.
Oh.
And Piastri with the 2X, Terry? If that was how you go?
Let me just check. Hold on.
Yeah, while Terry's getting that up, I can say
yes.
Right now on the poll, Piastri is leading with 44% of people would 2 times Piastri, 29% to Norris, to 24% Verstappen. So it does look like it's either triple McLaren or Piastri Verstappen as the way to go for. And I'm assuming other at 3% would be Piastri Russell.
And Mike, Rebecca, and I are all in the same position where if we run triple McLaren, it's a -10. I'm more okay with a -10 this week than any other week. One, because it's an extra DRS boost week. So we're looking at 350, 400 points. What's 10 points in the context of all that for the sake of getting it right, if it's right? But I know I hate taking the -10s.
It really is just another one of those situations where it pick and choose where the -10 comes from. And I think that will understand if it's okay to do. Like, I understand if you need to take a -10 to go over to a Verstappen Norris team or a Piastri Norris team, those sorts of teams. But then I think it's the same as any other weekend in the sense of if you need, because I've seen quite a few comments on this where it's like, where you need to change a Gasly or Colapinto to an Alonso, I still don't think it's worth a -10 for a move like that.
Yeah. I think if you've got the opportunity where someone might put off a shot results, it's probably worth a -10 in the sense of they might be able to just do something different, mightn't they, to what everyone else is doing. And when this late in the season now, it's kind of like your budget's kind of got out the window now, isn't it, for the last 2 races? And just roll the dice on them. Let's be honest about it.
I'm definitely not worried about my budget.
No, I haven't even looked at it. Genuinely not even looked at it, because it's like I'm going with the team that's going to try and get me the most points now. 2 races left. And I just saw there, in terms of if you've got an extra DRS, I would use it this weekend. I wouldn't wait till next weekend. I don't see the point in waiting till next weekend. It's a sprint weekend. You got more opportunity, more points on offer. It kind of feels like it'd be a waste next weekend, especially if something's decided.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that makes me consider the -10 to bring in triple McLaren are the betting lines, where despite being P3 in the sprint, they still have Lando with the best odds to win the Grand Prix tomorrow, because he does have that single lap pace. Now, imagine if this happens. If Lando wins the race tomorrow, he locks up the Drivers' Championship. Now momentum moves to him for driver of the day. He does have it's 6 fastest laps in Grand Prix, 2 fastest laps in sprints, times 3. So for a -10, this is starting to feel a little bit more okay for me. So the betting lines have pulled me back in on the triple McLaren a bit. Now, as we look around, no doubts at all about Max Verstappen. Looks like he should be back in podium contention tomorrow. And then for some of these guys that looked good in the sprint qualifying, Fernando Alonso and Yuki Tsunoda still in the top 10.
How have we got Lewis above Yuki?
There's an assumption that Ferrari get it right, like they did in at Coda earlier this year, where they didn't look so good in the sprint. But at least for the sprint race, it's not.
I just bet on Yuki. Hold on.
Speaking of which, Terry posted earlier. This got some guys starting from the pit lane today: Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly, Colapinto, all at the bottom of the grid already, all starting from the pit lane. Probably good news. That means there's going to be no turn 1 carnage for them. Colapinto and Stroll caught up in some respective collisions at the Grand Prix start last year on turn 1. So one less thing you got to worry about with the 4 of them.
Yeah, and I think it is pure setup change. I'm not seeing new engines going in tomorrow. My phone was just going crazy with documents from the FIA confirming it all a minute ago. But it looks like they're part firmware changes rather than new engines at the moment, from what I see. But I will have a quick look whilst we're talking to see what else is going on with them, because there's a lot on there.
Guys, we have a few people that still haven't used Limitless. I've been getting a lot of questions about Limitless lately. Who do we put in the team? And then who do we put as our 2X driver? So Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, Russell probably locks. And then it's a bit of a coin flip between Leclerc, Antonelli, maybe just the 2 of them. Yuki, if you're feeling crazy.
For me, I think it definitely is Leclerc. I think Antonelli was lucky to get through to the final part of quali yesterday. So I'm still a little bit worried about him.
Yeah, I would go Leclerc and then put McLaren and Mercedes as the 2 teams would be my sort of option for it. That would kind of fit with it. I think that Kimi's not showing the pace that, like Zach said, it was only Hasjer's lap that got deleted that got him in, was there? And he's not looked like he's been really on it so far at the moment. So yeah.
And then who to 2X on that team? For anyone who didn't notice, F1 Fantasy Tools put out a V2 of their sim about a half hour before we came on. Very slightly modified, nothing too crazy here, but you can see Piastri still at the top of the stack at 40.4 points. Now, when I expanded this, looked into some of the reasons why they went that high with the points, he has the highest odds of driver of the day. I would probably put them a little bit lower than the Sims did, which would bring Norris about even with Piastri. But I would say one of these 2. And then if you're feeling like a really big punt, you've got to make up some points, then assume that Max brings it back tomorrow. But you have to assume that Red Bull get it right for that to work.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume they got it right. Max definitely had floor damage because he has got a new floor on that car. So that answers the question for qualifying. So they put a new floor on the Red Bull. So clearly he damaged it during sprint qualifying, as we said he would. So that kind of explains a bit as well. So it's the same floor though, so there's no penalty for it. So it's a like-for-like part firmware swap. So no penalty, but it is a brand new floor on it. And there's no new engines going into the cars, which is obviously a cost cap 2 races ago decision by lots of Ferrari in that lot, to be honest.
So good news for Max. It looks like it could have been just floor damage and then he'll recover. So we'll keep a close eye on him today. Moving a little bit down in the Sims, there's a question from Austin in the chat about Alonso's 13.3 points that he's projected for the weekend. One of his highest projections in recent memory, rivaling Leclerc up here, in between the 2 Ferraris. Do we think he's good for this many points this week? Now, we mentioned a moment ago, we think it's just a matter of time before he's overtaken by Verstappen, so I think he drops 1 place, but the pace seems real throughout all the sessions that we've seen. Have you guys seen anything to the contrary that thinks that Alonso could make it 4 points finishes in a row at Qatar?
Yes. Yes, I am, because of the tyre situation, which is going to throw a spanner in the works because Pirelli are not happy with the tyres at all.
Right. There was a moment last night where we heard that there were some tires that had little slits in them because some of the gravel that came out on the track, and the response from Pirelli was, we might need a safety car to clean up some of that gravel, or you could have a freak puncture happen if some of that gravel gets onto the circuit and it pops a tire.
Yeah, so they've raised the tyre pressure to try and combat it, and they've basically said that it's after the sprint is going to give them a true picture of what's going on. But it could mean that they might have to deploy even additional stuff on top of the mandated 2 slots we got, which, if that happens, could well play some of these drivers back into play a bit with strategy and with pit stops and everything. So it could be a complete lottery with the tyres, to be honest. It kind of feels like Pirelli, once again, haven't got on top of it. They're trying to be proactive this time by mandating how much we can have and the 2 stops, but it feels like they've got some underlying issues which aren't going to come to light until we see after the sprint race, to be honest.
For me as well with Alonso, it doesn't even really come down to like anything to do with Qatar. It's just, for some reason, Aston seems to do this a lot in sprint race weekends, mainly with Alonso, where he'll look fantastic in the sprint quali. And then all of a sudden we'll head over to qualifying and either everyone's just figured out their setup, and then he just drops right back down and he ends up getting no points. So that's the only thing I'm scared about Alonso about. And that's why I actually think, obviously, such a difference in points, not points, in budget. And it also depends on who you already have in the team. But that's why I also think, I think the safety net is Sainz over Alonso for me. Just because I expect Williams to still be thereabouts in qualifying. Alonso could be 15th. I would not put it past them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you summed up, Aston Martin do this, and with that changes to part firme, a lot of teams do get it right as we go into the main race, which then sees Aston Martin sort of tumble down. We have got Adrian Newey at the track, though. Maybe that would make a difference. I don't know. I don't know, how much input he has, while he's trackside compared to what he has back in Silverstone. So it'd be interesting to see. He was taking a big interest in the car yesterday after sprint qualifying. So who knows?
Alonso's an interesting case. 3 straight Q3 appearances at Qatar, 3 straight top 10 finishes. But also, when you look at this year, he leads the grid in DNFs with 7. And like Zach said, his form in the sprint races tends to go down a bit from where he is in sprint qualifying. So it's hard to tell which Alonso will really show up here. I think this is a bit of a boom or bust situation where if you need the points, he's as cheap as you can be. Give it a shot. I like him over maybe Franco Colapinto at this point, starting from the pit lane. Maybe something happens with Alonso. Whereas that Alpine looks firmly P19 and P20 for the weekend. But now moving forward, I don't know if it could just as easily be another DNF to lead the grid. King's Landing, -10 to bring in Sainz for Colapinto. In general, I've got to avoid -10s for B-tier drivers. Obviously, Sainz is better. He's got a projected 10-point finish according to F1 Fantasy Tools. But the week that you do this, he's going to DNF. He's going to get that damage to the tire that Terry talked about earlier, and then you're out 30 points because it was a -10 to bring it. Ooh, Geselig is torn. 3x on Piastri or Norris. In 10 minutes, if we get enough likes, if Terry gives me permission, I've locked in my team, and I'll show you.
Oh,
there you go. There's the answer on that one. Hit the like button so we can all go the opposite to Adam.
So we can all laugh at me.
What are we aiming for? We're on 48 at the minute. What are we saying? 75?
47.
Another -10 question in the chat. -10 to go from Gasly to Alonso. Still no. Even though it looks like there's a 10-point difference between the two, probably. Very close to a 10-point difference. I still wouldn't do it.
Going back to that 2 times or 3 times question on Piastri or Norris as well, it's so frustrating. But again, it's just what I've been waffling on about this entire second half of the season of where are you in the ranks? Are you comfortable where you are? What do you want to do? Because I will agree, even though Piastri's on sprint pole, Norris, from form, what we've seen here from the last few races, it looks like he's the safe option. He's going to be thereabouts. Same with a Verstappen-esque driver. We don't really know where Piastri's going to be. This is the first bit of Piastri pace we've seen for so long. So it is a risk going Piastri on the 2 times or the 3 times. But again, it all depends on where are you? Where do you want to be in the rank? Do you mind taking that risk? It all comes down to that. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, I think we're looking at McLaren 1, so aren't we, on the basis of, if Lando hadn't got that traffic problem he got in qualifying, he probably would have got above above yours, wouldn't he? So you kind of pin it into that McLaren 1-2 at the moment, aren't you? With Max hopefully making enough setup changes after the sprint race to be able to get in amongst it for the actual race itself. But on pure pace at the moment, it feels like it's the McLaren 1-2. It's just going to be a case of what order they're going into, and does Lando just settle in behind based on that's all he needs to do for the championship?
Yeah, I've got to give Rick props in the chat. He says, I'm a pro. I'm taking minus transfer points after Vegas. So he showed us a team last week that we approved. We had him go out and run. And he said to me afterwards privately, I just want to let you know, I ended up taking a minus 30 for that, but I didn't want to tell you during the show because you would have talked me out of it. And that was a non-McLaren team that ended up putting up over 300 points and destroying all of us. So what do I know, Rick? Good on you. All right,
well,
let's look at some of those member lineups while we wait for those last few likes to come in. Just a reminder, the Alpine Desert Dash Mini League's going on now, and the winner gets to chat with either Franco or Pierre, so that's a really cool prize. Keep an eye out for that. Only 2 races left.
Feels like they forgot to put that one in, doesn't it?
Just squeaking it in with 2 races left.
Like someone's gone, oh no, we got this Alpine win here. Oh, brilliant, well done. Thank you for your lineups, everyone.
Here we go. Let's fire it up with Rick. So this is the team that took him to glory in Las Vegas. He came clean. He took in minus 30 in transfer points.
I took more than that in McLaren retirements. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. All right. So his current team has Max and Kimi. Now we've got some options with Max and George. At that budget, I don't know if you can do a whole lot more other than trying to squeak in a McLaren.
Oh.
See, I've got a very similar to the last one, but I've gone with a McLaren in there. And then downgraded Carlos.
So then would you maybe not have Hulkenberg or Hadjar in to get you just enough money to bring this into Norris? Or Piastri if you're feeling crazy.
I did Piastri. So, yeah, to give you an idea without giving too much of my team weight, because I probably already have. So I got Verstappen and Piastri, but then I took out Sainz, which allowed me to bring in Hadjar, which I already had Alonso in mind, so it was a bit different sort of thing. So that's how I did it. I had 3 free transfers. So by doing that, it got me into being able to do a McLaren and Max, basically, which I thought was a good one.
Yeah, I think with these, it has to be Team 3, doesn't it? Just for the fact that Antonelli just hasn't looked on it. And I really do like it. I mean, to be like, when you're going this much of a differential anyway, with not having McLaren, you may as well go all the way. And I do think Hulkenberg will be picked by less than 5% of people. So that is a brilliant differential, because we never know what he can do. A little bit worried about Hadjar, only because he's P11 right now. But we'll see what he does in the actual race. Just because P11...
He can make places. He had a lap to beat as well, didn't he, to be fair? So I'm quite confident that he'll come good again. I think that his was more of a track limit rather than a racing balls issue. So that's why I felt comfortable with Hadjar. I think that actually he's going to come back, even if he does it in the sprint. So I think qualifying in the race itself, we'll see some better pace in the racing balls, to be honest. But I'd have a look to see if you can go from Russell to Piastri, maybe. Rick, if you're up for looking at something a bit different. Just in case you can, you might have to swap out a Hulkenberg or a Sainz maybe for it as well. But it'd be worth just having a quick look at it, see if you can squeeze something in along those lines, if you felt like it.
I'm thinking the same. Definitely Team 3 if I'm picking one of these 3, but I'd get just a little bit of papaya to hedge yourself because they are looking very fast.
I just don't think Russell's going to get anything unless something happens to everyone in front of him in terms of a win or anything. I think that Russell's a solid bet for some points. I think a podium's probably asking a lot, because I can still feel the McLarens and Max getting above it. So I think that for Russell to get a podium stroke a win, he's going to need something to happen in front of him to get him to that pace. He's not going to get on pace. That's the only reason I'd say look elsewhere.
All right, Rick. Hopefully we've set you up for success with that one. Rebecca.
Oh.
She is 0.1 or 0.6 off of so many other things, but it really comes down to this. I imagine this is your minus 10 option with triple McLaren on the left. On the right, it's stick with Max, bring in Piastri, and then see if Max can recover today.
Team 2.
Same drivers.
Oh,
Team 2.
Oh, that is Max 2 times, such a differential. I love it. But that is so risky.
Yeah,
so risky.
In terms of being different, though, I mean, it's great. Isn't
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, it's one of those, isn't it? Where actually, you know, is it a differential? Yes. Are you going to pick up some solid points? Absolutely. Max is going to be in the hunt for the podium, if nothing else. So actually,
I'm leaning toward Team 1 because I think Lando closes off the title this weekend. And if he does, there's fastest lap, there's driver of the day, there's a lot of stuff that can bounce in his direction times 2 that would offset your minus 10.
I lean the opposite there. I lean under that pressure cooker of him doing that. There's part of me that's like, you know, we're in unknown territories now, aren't we, for these drivers? Everyone apart from Max hasn't been in this situation. Austria's got to win to keep the title open line. Lando is caught in that famous, do I keep it safe or do I go for something? Every single decision Lando makes this weekend, he's going to be second guessing the title now after what happened last weekend. He's going to literally, every corner, every move, he's going to be thinking, do I go for this or do I not? That's dangerous for a driver. That's a really bad territory to be in. It's not a good place to be when you're a driver. If anything, you look at his rise to the top, it's been because he was chasing. Lando doesn't like being the one in front traditionally. It seems to be a thing for him. He prefers being the hunter rather than the hunted, which is why I think that actually this weekend is probably the most pressure he's going to feel that he has done. You know, you put it into that context, you just see, you know, turn 1, there's a gap. Does he go? Does he not? That indecisiveness just, it throws all sorts into the mix.
I will say, Rebecca, I think this is like the worst case scenario for you, because I think this is possibly the first team where I think we all actually slightly disagree. Because I think I'm leaning more to Team 1, but I would put the 2 times on Piastri.
I think you're going to feel some real spread here. Now, I'm seeing in the chat that we've hit at least 75 likes. Rebecca's not sure where to go from here. So I'm going to throw down the gauntlet and show my team, just to give you a little sense of me putting my money where my mouth is. Assuming that it posted on time. Oh, it didn't post on time. Ha!
I posted. Do you want to do mine? I posted mine.
Oh, go on.
You want to do Terry's?
Whilst we're here on mine.
Terry, right on schedule. Piastri Verstappen. Talk us through it.
Well, like I said, I was looking at bringing that in anyway. I quite fancy Max to come good anyway tomorrow. And I, like I say, Lando, you know, sitting in the chat a bit, Lando does worry me in that sense. I think that the 2 drivers who've got everything to go for are going to go for it. I think Lando playing safe just it goes against the grain for a racing driver, so it's unknown territory. So that's why I've gone with that. And after my complete McLaren debacle, I actually had 3 free transfers anyway, so it allowed me to move one out, which I think was, I want to say it was Sainz. So I moved Sainz out, brought Hajar in, and then that allowed me to bring Oscar in as well as Max. So it kind of all fitted with 3 transfers, not taking any minus 10, and being able to bring in Max and Oscar, which I feel are the 2 stronger drivers out of them.
Squeaky clean. I like it. Now, my post finally went through, I think. Putting my money where my mouth is. Triple McLaren with a minus 10. I know. I'm going to be crossing my fingers and toes the whole weekend. Same B-tier drivers as Terry to afford it. The only way I could make this lineup work is to take a minus 10 and to move Alonso around. I'm expecting Norris to stamp it on pole and then run away tomorrow. So no second guessing. None of this feeling like he's ahead and he has to make some crazy decisions to keep himself alive. He's just going to run away and we never see him again. We've seen that a lot this year. If he does that, he's capable of fastest lap. He's capable of driver of the day. That's all times 3. And Piastri is just too good to ignore. So I'm going to keep him on my team. Don't quite trust him enough to triple him up just because we don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. But I'm really liking the feel of this team. But I did make the mistake of looking this up. This lineup in Las Vegas scored 27 points. I know. I know. So hopefully we don't have history repeat itself on that front.
Adam, you'll be fine. You'll be fine because I can tell you I'm not on triple McLaren. So no DNS for you.
Zach is due to hit the lottery next year after what's happened to his season.
I think the other thing we got to remember about McLaren is they don't like being in traffic. So whichever one's behind is going to be a problem. You know, the McLaren just we've said it all season, and I've heard a lot of talk about what's the issue with the McLarens when they're not out in front, and basically they're not designed to be in the traffic. They don't react very well. They're not good when they're stuck in there. They've not got enough of a DRS advantage anymore from the cutbacks we saw with the famous mini DRS. They haven't got the straight line speed they used to. They conserve their tyres, which isn't going to be that much of a factor maybe when you've got a mandated two pit stops in there. So they rely on being able to take longer stints and offsetting the tyre balance that way. Can't really do that this weekend. So I think qualifying is going to be key as well, later on. Like Adam says, I think whichever one qualifies the highest will run off into the distance come tomorrow again. I think that's what we're looking at potentially.
Adam, I can say I have locked in my team as well.
Ooh.
We're getting.
I'll give you a little preview. I'll give you a preview.
The
we are
full
all so
reveal.
different teams.
It's got 5 drivers in it.
Look at this.
I'm so scared.
The Yuki bomb.
Wow.
Zach, talk us through the Yuki bomb.
Well, I've put it nice and blatantly in what I've said in the tweet. Honestly, just need that differential to try keep up the extra DRS users. For once, Yuki looks half decent. Let's see what he can do. Please, just keep in the top 8 for the sprint. and then I only had 2 free transfers, so I either had to take a -10 to go to a Norris Piastri team, and I still think Piastri 2 times is the way to go. So I don't think there'll be more than 10 points between Russell and Norris. I didn't think the -10 was worth it. And then I thought, just screw it. I need something to happen. Just anything this season. Oh, like these sprint race weekends really haven't gone my way. So Sonoda, Russell, Piastri, they're all going to crash out on the first lap, but it's going to be a good time.
We all are throwing it out here. So now we've got Piastri on our teams. The Sims do have him at the very top of the stack compared to everyone else. So it's as safe a feeling as we're going to get from Piastri.
So everyone go Norris.
Exactly. Terry at the last second. I'm going to take a -10 to get out of whatever is actually.
Yeah. What I'm going to do as soon as we go off the air, I'm going to sit here and change all mine off. Absolutely. I rolled in the dice on Yuki is like, betting on the green on the roulette wheel. Let's be honest about it. That's the equivalent here. We're not talking red or black. We're not talking red or black on the roulette wheel. We're saying we're going for the green one here. That's the comparison here.
Vegas has come one year.
Vegas has come late. Yeah.
I think this really does show the split and how close everything is, though, because on our poll right now is Adam crazy with that triple McLaren lineup. It's almost 50-50. 44% think definitely crazy. 56 think crazy smart. It's so close.
Crazy or crazy good? Question from Lannister in the chat. Needs one of Alonso, Gasly, Hadjar, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Lawson, and Bortoletto. So this entire bottom of the stack here.
Oh.
And they're all about 2 points between them. So to rehash what we said about Alonso earlier is
we think he's going to go back.
he tends to regress a bit in the Grand Prix after he looks good in the sprint. But he is projected to do the best out of any of them. Quite a bit better. 13.3. We just have to, it depends on if you truly trust that or not.
He will hold the sprint 20. I don't see the sprint being mass overtaking. So if he gets a good start and holds it, I feel like the sprint side of it will come good. It's a case of whether or not the other teams make those changes, like Zach was saying earlier in part for me, where the new format lets you do that, and a lot of teams seem to get the jump on him that way, don't they? So I think that for me is the key.
It is sort of Alonso just suffering from his own success because he is just so good at finding so quickly on where that car needs to be. And then, everyone else really does just catch up.
Quad Life is thinking about 3 times Piastri, 2 times Verstappen. So a juiced up version of Terry's team.
I like that.
Quite good. Is it worth it to go Alonso and Colapinto for the sake of running Piastri and Verstappen? So yeah, I mean, basically, to me, a lot of these cheap drivers are sort of all the same this weekend. looking at, I mean, this is a circuit where there's so much runoff on either side. It is relatively the safest compared to others if you're worried about DNF risk and things like that. So I would try to top load your team as much as you can, regardless of what B tier drivers you have to do it.
Oh. Michael's run for the pre-qualifying show, gone with 3 times Piastri, 2 times Verstappen.
Oh,
Drop that and ran away. Thank you, Michael. Good luck.
He's on Team Terry.
Absolutely. Hopefully that come good.
Good luck, Mike. We're all going to need it this weekend.
very much so.
I just think what you're saying about these B tier drivers, I think that, like you said, and one of them is going to have one of these performances. We've seen it before with Behrman this season, haven't we? I think there's going to be an unpredictable in there. The problem is none of these sims and anything can tell us what that's going to be. It's not a massively high overtaking track. It's quite a high speed, bit of a procession at times. The pit stops add that unknown variant into it, but it kind of feels like someone just will get lucky with that. These B tier drivers, that someone will have a really good standout performance. That's what it feels like. I feel they're all around the same. It'd be hard to sit here and go A, B, C. And I think there's a bit of luck where it comes in play on these, isn't it? On those B tier ones who are so close together, so grouped together.
Yeah, especially when it's a sprint quali as well. Like at the end of the day, especially for B tier drivers, the main thing we want to see for who's actually going to end up scoring big is the qualifying.
Yeah,
like the sprint quali won't be too hectic for any of the B tier drivers.
They're usually an extra practice session. Anyone outside the top 10 now is going to be looking at setup for tomorrow. Yeah, they're going to be looking at what can I get from the track for qualifying, what can I get for the race tomorrow. They're not going to be worried about the sprint itself. It's going to be like an FP3 session for them, let's be honest about it.
Similar question from Monterey in the chat. Thoughts on 5th driver, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Gasly, Bortoleto, Colapinto. So it's basically a similar buffet to what we saw earlier, only no Alonso, perhaps because they already have him.
I think Colapinto, I don't feel that Alpine's got enough to come through the pack with the setup changes they made in part for May. So I don't see any of those drivers who are starting from the pit lane, with the exception maybe of Lewis, might be the only one who could come up through anything during the sprint race. But again, I don't even think it's being done for that for Lewis. I think it's being done to give him a happier setup for qualifying and for the race, knowing that he's not going to score anything down in 18. So I don't think Ferrari are actually expecting Lewis to do a lot in the sprint. I think their aim is more to get a setup ready for later and ready for tomorrow that he's happier with, because clearly he runs some different wings for Charles and he wasn't happy with what he had in qualifying. So I'm not too sure any of those ones who pit lane start with, we're not going to see a Brazil style Max Verstappen go off, leave Ocon in the distance and come through the pack, are we? Let's be honest about it.
Zach had mentioned Hulkenberg earlier as a low own differential. I think that's the punt I would take out of that group. The Alpine duo are well and truly out of it. I don't think there's much pace in the Haas to really trust them. Bortoleto has 3 DNFs in his last 4 competitive sessions. Can't trust him. That pretty much just leaves Hulkenberg. I'd trust him.
Yeah. If the car's solid, he's a solid driver, isn't he? So he's going to get you. If the car's good enough and in a good enough place, Hulkenberg maximize what you can, won't it?
Guys, if you want to have a little fun, Austin wants to know our official vote on who we would pick on the 2X, Norris versus Piastri. I am outnumbered, but I have voted Norris.
Piastri as well here.
There it is, Austin. 2-1.
Oh, Rick's come back with a Verstappen Piastri lineup. Look.
Oh,
he's done the maths. Look.
Speaking of lineups, I don't know if we got through all of our lineups back here. Let's
look,
make sure we serve off everybody else here. So Race Maven looking at Norris versus Piastri versus Verstappen. I think we know where this is heading now. No difference in the B tier driver. So it's really just who do we trust up here? The people have spoken in Oscar Piastri. Guys, any thoughts on this?
No, out of that, I would go B out of those.
Yeah, it's one of those teams as well where when you are looking at a one premium driver team, you want to go with who looks the strongest there. You have to because you have to pull the points from somewhere.
And here is our friend Brian again trying to figure out which 2 tier A drivers to run this week. Russell is a staple on 2 of the teams. the middle team looks awfully tempting with Verstappen, Piastri. I know what team Terry's leaning for, but the difference
Absolutely.
here is, do you come off of the McLaren Constructor to bring in Piastri, or leave the McLaren Constructor in and stick with George? How bad do we want it?
Well, I think, yeah, going to Zach's point, I think this is the best chance you've got Yuki picking at some points, haven't you? So if you're going to try something different, yeah, you would go Red Bull on that basis, on just on the basis you can do that. So if Yuki's going to pick up points, it's going to be this track, and his performance so far is most comfortable he has looked. So if you want to do something different, I'd say that's certainly different. I don't think we're at any risk of plank wear or anything like that, he says. Famous last words. Depends how bad they damage the floor, I suppose. But yeah.
This is tricky, though. When you look at F1 Fantasy Tools, the difference between McLaren and Red Bull that's 28 points. The difference between Piastri and Russell, 8.
Yeah. But they're banking on like a McLaren 1-2, aren't they? That's what they're be banking on. And then the pit stops, of course, 2 mandated stops, more points for pit stops in there as well, isn't there?
Ooh, but that'd be a bean on the scale for Red Bull. 2 straight weeks of 25-point pit stops.
Oof.
I think if you want to do something different, then Team B's the one to go for. Team A kind of feels like if you want to play safe, doesn't it? Team B feels like if you want to do something different to what everyone else is doing, that's probably the best way to describe it. Team 3, if I was going to do Team 3, I'll put the 2X on Lando. Obviously, I know Brian said that he hasn't finished on there, but if I was going to go Team 3, I would definitely put the 2X on Lando and go with that one, which we're back into Adam's theory of a good qualifying, good race coming through, winning championship, driver of the day, all those sort of factors then.
I would say, even if you're considering these two teams on the end too, I would 2X Piastri at this point. I don't think there's any good reason to 2X George over him at this stage of the week.
Yeah.
Ooh, Race Mavens come back with a question. Would you take a -10 to run Williams and McLaren with a second tier A driver?
I think the gap's too big, isn't it? Or is it?
I think it comes down to, if you had the extra DRS and you would double that second tier A driver, that would close the gap enough for me to feel good about Williams.
Yeah, so if you're running like your team, Adam, where you've got the 3X and the 2X, then yes.
Yeah, we're looking at 37 points between Williams and Mercedes. So that means you would need, if you get right in there with Verstappen, there's a chance. You'd have to run Piastri and Norris for it to possibly be good, but it could also blow up brilliantly if something happens to Albon. He gets tangled up at the circuit a lot.
Race Raven's got no chips left, so it's a pure.
I'm thinking stick with the two tier A constructors.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it's not this kind of weekend, I don't think.
Just look up when I don't think it's worth a -10 to get rid of Bortoletto. I think
never.
Yeah, it's not worth a minus. I'm not sure who you'd move in and sort of who would potentially do better for a -10 on that one.
Guys, I don't even know. We don't have their lineup on a slide, but they just submitted it in. Triple McLaren or Piastri plus Russell. I'm leading the league by 75 points. So this is an interesting scenario where, does it make sense to just be safe, squeeze that lead, or do we do the full send on triple McLaren and God forbid they don't fix that ride height? You're doomed.
I'm going to touch wood with this, but I think 75-point gap is big enough to not worry about that. I think triple McLaren will be fine to do.
Yeah, I think also we got to look at what happened last week. So last week wasn't so much a ride height problem; it was a porpoising problem, which is two very different things, to be honest. When McLaren were talking about it this week, they've been quite open about what they did. They actually raised the ride height, which I know sounds crazy, that we had both drivers disqualified for rising the car up, but they actually rose it, and it actually led to more porpoising, which then led to more grinds on the floor. So they actually made a mistake that way around. So I don't feel that they're going to make that mistake again, or it certainly doesn't feel. And there's enough of a setup change between the sprint race qualifying and the race itself to be able to correct that. So you wouldn't get enough plank wear from a sprint race to disqualify you, but you would get enough from enough information to know you got a problem for the race tomorrow to change the setup going into qualifying the race. So that's why I don't think we're going to see anything like that from that point of view. It gives you enough of the information running 19 laps at full speed, like they're going to do, to know actually this is what the car's going to do, ready for tomorrow. So they got more information than what they had in Vegas, ironically.
We don't agree on much in this hour, but it's going to be a clean sweep on this one. I think the triple McLaren's going to work. Going off of what you said a moment ago, Terry, this is a purpose-built circuit, so I don't think you're going to have the same undulations that are unpredictable like you had in Vegas. McLaren should have it figured out. I think that's the only thing that would make them anything less than the perfect choice compared to Piastri Russell. So I would go triple McLaren. Yeah,
absolutely. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of issues or talk about it or sort of worry about it at the moment. And like you say, with it being a purpose-built track, it hasn't got the bumps and everything that the street circuit has anyway. So all those factors don't really play a part on this one. Floor damage is going to be a bigger issue if someone takes it wide and damages the floor, which loses performance. But it wouldn't risk your disqualification as much. It's more of it's going to hinder you for the race if you do something early on which damages that floor and you lose that downforce on it.
Mayor Volcano in the chat is in the same boat, but just a 22-point gap. I think it's still okay.
I still go for it. I still feel there's nothing from Russell that makes me think he's going to go on and win the race. I know he in the past he has. Unless something happens, I don't feel like Mercedes have got enough in that car to make a performance gain that suddenly puts George winning above the McLarens and probably even Max, to be honest. I think if Lando qualified better, if Red Bull got their setup right, I don't think George would be as high as he was yesterday. I think George has just benefited from a better setup than what Red Bull had and Lando being caught in traffic rather than Mercedes being there on pure pace.
Looks like I don't even know is going for it. So good luck to you this week. I am also in the triple McLaren.
Good luck.
Fingers and toes crossed for both of us.
Oh, Mike, would you take? I would actually take a Mike. I would think about taking a -10 to go from Russell to Piastri, actually.
Yeah.
Because again, going back to Adam's point about drive of the day, can you imagine something happens to, I don't know, to Lando or to Max and Piastri wins? That's surely drive of the day territory then, because that would put him right back in the hunt for the championship. So all these drive of the day ones we know are very, very much a basis of what happens in the race and what's happened in the build-up to a race and all those sorts of things. So it only takes something to happen in one of these races for suddenly everyone to be voting for that driver. Either something bad to happen and everyone kind of feels sorry for him, or actually they suddenly find themselves back in the lead of the championship and everyone's suddenly voting for him, don't they? So
yeah,
I think you got more chance of that happening than what you have with all the other ones.
I can see a scenario where if Piastri is leading the race at some point tomorrow, the commentary starts warming up. Can you imagine? He's had such a terrible second half. Now he's got himself all the way back into the championship and he could win it at Abu Dhabi. And then by the end, everyone's just so warmed up, they've got to give him effort.
Especially if you've got a situation where Max has got ahead of Lando, for example, as well. And you've then got that staggered gap, haven't you? You can imagine it then to that, that tier of Oscar, Max, and then Lando potentially. Yeah, definitely.
I will say we have got a super chat from Race Maven.
All right,
saying good luck all. Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
What a legend.
Hopefully I don't know what these different colours mean, but I appreciate the different colours on my screen.
Question from Christopher in the chat. Who do you 2x Verstappen or Piastri? So these two guys 2x'd Piastri.
Yeah.
But is there a scenario where you'd 2x Verstappen if you're looking for that differential?
Yes, I mean, I just didn't because I think Oscar will hold on more than Max coming through. I think Max will come through later, and I think Max will get good points and then be good for qualifying in the race once the setup change has been done. But I think that Piastri will kind of lock out the sprint, providing he gets the 2-1 fight, and if it happens, I think it will come into that possession where he get maximum points for it. That's the reason I went with Oscar based on where he is now, and I don't feel he's going to go backwards unless something happens in qualifying. But yeah, Max, I don't feel he's going to suddenly come from where he is to first in the sprint, for example, and pick up points that way.
Ooh, in the chat, we have the 50th ranked player in the global league. Same question that we asked earlier. -10 to go from Russell to Piastri. Only 2 free changes. Otherwise, it's a Max and George Russell team. So no piece of the McLaren drivers amongst their top two.
I would personally feel that you need one of the McLaren drivers this weekend.
I think I agree. Yeah, this would be one of those minus 10s.
I think you need one of them. Yeah, you know, whichever one you feel comfortable. I mean, Piastri is the obvious choice with the price, but I feel you've kind of got to have a piece of McLaren in there somewhere this weekend, based on what we've seen from George and everything else.
It's a clean sweep. Doesn't matter if you have a 70-point lead or a 22-point lead, or if you're the 50th ranked player in the world. Get a piece of one of the McLaren drivers in your lineup. I think you'll need it.
I think especially because we all think it's the 2 times option. The minus 10 is easily coverable in these situations.
Oh, Bob is asking purely from an F1 point of view. Who do you want to win the championship? God, this is funny. I said Oscar all season, to be honest, but his form for me doesn't feel like it warrants that of being a champion. If I'm being honest, the comeback from Max would just be immense in terms of a championship comeback. So for me, I think Oscar, if you'd asked me summer break, it would have been Oscar all day long. But I feel that Max's comeback kind of feels like it would be his best championship by far if he managed to put it off somehow. So I'd like to see that. I think the problem with McLaren, it kind of feels like neither driver's done enough to win it. They kind of feel like they should have won it. And yeah, I think Adam was on about earlier about that Chris Medland interview with Max, and it's quite interesting the comments in it where Max says we're only in it because McLaren haven't won it, basically. And he's right. They should have deployed team orders. They should have boxed this off, and it should have been wrapped up long before going into this. There shouldn't be an opportunity for Max to be in the hunt, which kind of makes you want to root for the underdog in it from a personal point of view.
For me, I'm just bringing my popcorn and I'm along for the ride. You can see I'm a Hamilton fan, so it's been a tough season for me.
Oh.
I think all 3 outcomes are fantastic. Like Terry said, Verstappen clawing this all the way back from when he was mathematically almost all the way out of it. Piastri going from the worst second half from a title leader we've ever seen to eventually getting it all the way back. That would be a huge story. And then Lando Norris just quietly, consistently leading the championship for so long. He was the bridesmaid last season, and now he's ascended to the top of the Formula One ladder this year. That would be fantastic either way. So I think that the slugfest we're going to have these last 2 weeks, I'm just ready to see it all unfold.
It's got to be Lando for me. I've liked him since 2019, so I've got to see him win it. As a McLaren fan, like, it's difficult heading into the end of the season where at the end of the day, even if Piastri won it, I wouldn't be mad. I'd just be slightly less happy. But I just think Lando's been there longer. I want to see him do it first.
Ooh, Rick, we have 7 minutes left, and Rick is still tossing a turn. Let's sort you out. Verstappen, Piastri, Sainz, Hulk, and Alonso, or Verstappen, Piastri, Hulk, Hadjar, and Lawson. Okay, we got the hard part down. So it's just Sainz, Hulkenberg, Alonso.
I would go to first, but
Sainz and Alonso versus Hadjar and Lawson.
I don't think Lawson is going to come enough. I'm not seeing enough from Liam this weekend, if I'm honest. Which would lead me towards the Hulkenberg Alonso sort of experience side of it.
I'd agree. I'd agree with Team 1.
Ooh, good question in the chat. -10 to go from Verstappen, Antonelli, Bortoleto to Piastri, Russell, Alonso, or Verstappen, Norris, Bortoleto with McLaren and Williams. I like the sound of Piastri, Russell, Alonso.
Yeah, I do.
Goes back to our mantra earlier. You've got to get a piece of those McLaren drivers somewhere. Russell over Antonelli for sure. Alonso probably over Bortoleto. Yeah, this seems like 3 for 3. It's worth the 10 points.
Autopilot. Would you use it this race or save for the next? I don't think there's good. I would probably use it if you got it, because potentially this is where it's gonna go differential more than what Abu Dhabi will. That's got potential to be a bit of a procession. The sprint race could throw bad qualifying for someone. We still got qualifying to go through. We still got a sprint race to get through. Someone gets a damage or an accident in here. So I think if you're going to use it, this weekend's probably the better option out of the 2 if you still got it left. I don't know what you guys think.
Completely agree. It just at sprint race weekend, so much can happen. Like one DNF out of your 2 big premium drivers, and they're not getting that your big points, and you'd really want to change that onto that other driver. And Abu Dhabi, I just don't see anything being
any bad crash today in the sprint race is gonna cost you for qualifying, isn't it? So
Yeah.
with the time they've got, so I would look at that. So 2-1, something happens there, then you've got potential where qualifying is going to be a big question mark, isn't it? So I would look at it definitely for this weekend.
We're 3 for 3. I agree. Autopilot this weekend. Ooh, a lot of questions still lining up in the chat. Let's see if we can knock these all out. We have 5 minutes left. Norris and Kimi to 3x on Piastri Russell, but we'll have to take a -10. Norris and Kimi versus Piastri and Russell.
Oh, I'm not sure that's worth the -10 there.
Oh,
The margins are razor thin on this.
I think it is. I think, especially, I think because if I read it right,
is Kimi allowed to have his eggplants or not? Has anyone checked Reddit for that?
I haven't. I'm looking really quickly at the Sims just for that to be the final.
No, we need to get fancy tools to put that into the mix next year. Can Kimi have the? That's got to be the funniest thing I've seen all season.
That is the funniest research study I've seen.
That is the funniest bit of research I've seen all season.
I think because it's if I'm reading that right, you're using extra DRS. I think because of that, you kind of have to have 2 on the ball premium drivers.
Yes. If you are using that, then yes, 3x on Piastri, and then Russell will be 2x, wouldn't he? So yeah, no, definitely with a 3x, yes. Actually, I'll backtrack on that one. I didn't see the 3x part. Definitely a 3x and a 2x. You'd have to have Piastri and Russell over Lando and Kimi as your 3 and your 2.
It took us 45 minutes, but we're all starting to agree on stuff now, which is great.
Taking this a season.
Let's ruin that. Who is the best? Who's the best for the 3x? We're split all over the place. I'm the only one using the 3x out of the 3 of us. I'm going with Norris Piastri with Norris on the 3x. The others are running Piastri Verstappen. Rebecca, you saw earlier, is running triple McLaren. Mike is running Piastri Verstappen. So we're very split down the middle on this show.
Tommy, I would go max times 2 and Piastri times 3, but that's just my personal choice. I think just because where Oscar is in the sprint race, pure and simple. If I was running those 2,
agreed. I couldn't imagine saying this 3 weeks ago to triple Oscar Piastri, but here we are. He is at this circuit. He can do it. He has done it.
Yeah, and he needs to as well. So again, it goes back to that hunted and hunter and pressure cooker, doesn't it? He's not got that pressure that Lando's got, in a sense of, if Lando locks it down, it's fine. If Oscar suddenly plays into the mix, then bang, he's onto something, isn't he? So yeah, I think it does play a part in it.
That gets us to Rebecca's question with 2 minutes left. 2x on Piastri or Norris? That's right, because you don't have the extra DRS. You have to figure out who to put your regular DRS on. The Sims have about 1.5 points between the 2 of them in favor of Piastri. The betting lines have Norris over Verstappen over Piastri for the race win tomorrow. That's why I nudged ahead to Norris. But Piastri's form here, he's never finished behind Norris in a competitive session at Qatar.
But then you go into your driver of the day if Lando does enough to win the championship, etc., etc.
Yeah,
exactly.
If Lando looks like a championship, he's getting driver of the day, isn't he? Let's be honest about it, because you would do that, wouldn't you? So,
all right, last minute final thoughts.
Whew. What are the final thoughts?
What are the final thoughts? Good luck. I think of the final thoughts, isn't it?
We're either going to be in a really good mood or a really bad mood, but this is a triple header, so you'll know in 48 hours how we're feeling. So it's going to be a big weekend. It could turn the whole global league on its head once again. A lot of you are now starting to move into the top 1,000, even someone here in the top 50. Just got to hope it's another good weekend and that the title fight is potentially still open for Abu Dhabi. So we have a lot to talk about next weekend too.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, I'll let you all get over to the broadcast. Thank you so very much for watching. We'll be right back here next weekend to preview the final race of the season. Good luck, everybody. Thanks again for watching.
Take care, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.